It's absolutely amazing. When Ruth Collins called me, and then General Keene, and Ruth is the president and CEO of the Army War College Foundation, to notify me that I'd been selected for this honor, she informed me that I was expected to make some remarks. So I said, So my next question was, well, anything in particular I ought to say? And she said, you can talk about anything you want to talk about. But then she reminded me that what I did in my military career is already captured. It's in your Army bio. We know about that. And the information is out there. But what we look for in our outstanding alumnus is recognition is about service since retirement. And so with Ruth's guidance in mind, and the memories of sitting out there in this auditorium, this very auditorium, as a student, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts about service and what has come to mean to me since leaving the Army. The first thought is that service requires action. Service requires you to do something. And that something can be something as small as working in your community HOA or in the community. That something can be as big and widely known at the state and the national level. But whatever that something is, it must be done such that it benefits others and to be of service. If it's not done to benefit others, then it's not service. Service is that connective tissue that binds us together as humans to make the world that we live in a better place. That's what service is. Many of you have experienced that sense of community and service when you as leaders helped a service member, a family member, someone in your community who was less well off than you. That's service. Service is what each of you volunteered to do when you chose to remain in the profession of arms. As civilians, when you joined your respective organization, it was about service. So with that comes something I like to term leadership is a form of service. Obviously, you have served well, or you would not be here among this competitively selective group. You would not be here. So to this point, you've lived a life centered on service. And most of you will say, I'm fairly satisfied with my life to this point. The second point I want to make is that we get to choose how we will live our lives. And as a consequence, how and where we serve. So I've kind of created a thesis, and some of you may say, well, thesis, that's what I'm going to write about when I'm here. But a thesis. And that thesis is a life centered on service is a life fulfilled. I want you to think about that. If it's centered on service, it's fulfilled because what you do is to benefit others. So let me tell you how joyful and satisfied I feel because I choose to be of service. So let me tell you my story. I heard Lawson. Let me tell you my story. I had decided what I wanted to do in the next chapter of my life when I retired in 2004. I had a plan, but like most plans, and if you've been out in the field, they tend to come apart at the first point of contact, we say in the military. As soon as that first point of contact comes, that plan goes out the window. But you've got a plan. So when I was a young captain and major, I taught plea boxing at West Point. And so I like a quote that from a great boxing philosopher, Mike Tyson. And it sticks with me because, and many of you may have heard it, when he stated, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Think about that. And it goes out the window. And I watched cadets, their eyes would tear up, and their plan is gone. And they're trying to figure out how not to get punched in the mouth again. So for me, the punch in the mouth was life-altering. You see, life gets a vote, and my plans changed very quickly because the vote that life took involved my health. So what happened? Well, all of those hard landings in the 82nd Airborne Division with Lawson Magruder, and in the 101st Airborne Division in Air Assault in Vietnam, they all came back to trouble me. I had developed something called some neurological symptoms that were diagnosed as spinal stenosis. And that is a narrowing of the spaces in the spine that takes pressure on the nerves. And you got to ask Ron Blank about all of that. But as it turns out, all of those hard landings had finally caught up with me. And after receiving several medical opinions, and I've received a lot of them. They wanted to take care of me everywhere I went. I got medical opinions. I was faced with a choice to fix the problem. And the problem was I could stay in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, or I could have the surgery. And of course, I chose the surgery. Seems like the optimal thing to do. But the story doesn't end there. I had the surgery, and following surgery, I developed something called a hematoma around my spinal cord, and that's a collection of blood outside of the blood vessels that left me paralyzed from the waist down. In other words, the surgery went bad, really bad, and they told me I had about a 1% chance of this thing not working. Well, I hit that 1%. So I found myself now retired from the military, in my mid-60s. I'm still a youngster. I'm in a hospital bed on my back, and perhaps going to be on my back permanently. Life had intervened, and the results of that intervention were nowhere in my retirement plans. So this life-altering event caused me to do some deep reflecting. Those reflections included the very thing that you Army War College students are trying to come to grips with here during this year. And that is prioritizing what's most important in your life and then go about enjoying that to its fullest. Prioritizing what's most important. So while hospitalized, I had lots of time for doubts and fears sneaked into my consciousness. I asked myself, why is this happening to me? You ever done that? I pondered my faith. I began to question my God. I thought, am I being punished for some past deed? Some poisonous things and thoughts crept into my mind. But the thought that remained foremost was, how will I live my life from this point forward? I thought I already knew, but I learned quickly the difference between real friends and acquaintances. I thought I already knew, but I learned categorically that a loving family is essential to living a fulfilled life. I have a loving wife and a loving family, and both are absolutely critical when you are totally dependent on someone else to serve you. So my wife for 52 years. I learned also that there's no straight path in your life. Your plans will change upon contact or when you get that punch in the mouth. But you still get to choose how you will respond to life's changing circumstances. Just think about moving from your active life that you're currently serving and not being able to walk, not being able to turn over in the bed without someone assisting you and turning you over. I couldn't bathe or dress. Even shaving was a struggle. And using the toilet without assistance was not possible. It was a real dignity issue for me. And if you haven't come to grips with this, think about it. I realized during this period that my life was changing right in front of me. I was facing an unexpected and unfamiliar set of circumstances. So the question before me was, what was I going to do about it? I resolved right then and there that I would use my God-given talents to benefit others. In other words, be of service. In my little corner of the earth, be of service. I was lucky. Through a lot of prayers and aggressive therapies, I stand here unassisted today. But don't be fooled, there's a lot of things behind it. I am among the statistically very few who've had similar spinal cord experiences and are not still strapped into a wheelchair. In fact, I was able to tell the VA, you can give that chair to someone else. But there were so many others that did not happen. Spinal cord injuries are permanent. I still go through treatments. I now live with limitations. I know what those limitations are, but I do not let them define me, nor do I let them limit my ability to serve. But again, I feel blessed and fortunate I was able to regain my strength, regain my self-reliance, and most importantly, regain my dignity. Since my spinal cord injury, my purpose in life continues to evolve. There's this voice that speaks to me saying to be of service. A voice that tells me that I am blessed to be walking among you. So every day I get up, I know it's a blessing. This brings me to the notion that leadership is a form of service. You are leaders. And then there's, in the Pew Research Center poll, the military continues to be the most trusted public institution in America. You all read it. I believe there's an unstated expectation among an American public that you will continue to serve as leaders wherever you may find yourself. There's an expectation because the military has spent an awful lot of time training and readying you. In your communities, your neighborhoods, your HOAs, your PTAs, and the school boards, and the churches, and the businesses, and every organization, government, they're crying out for your service as experienced and ethical leaders. I maintain that your sense of purpose in life dictates where you will choose to serve in the future. And mine happened to be that punch in the nose. Because of my life-altering experiences, I choose to spend much of my time in the not-for-profit area, focused on areas of health and education where I can act to benefit others. Spinal cord injuries, TBI, educating young people, it's the connective tissue that binds me into fulfilled life. Unexpected circumstances helped me find a new purpose in my life outside the military. So my final thought, undoubtedly you have a plan for your life and what you want to do after the military. I know just how pressed for time you all are here at the War College. I know you don't have much time. But I challenge each of you to take just a few minutes while here at Carlisle to reflect more deeply on how you will use your leadership after the military to be of service to others. That's my message to you. Thank you very much.